closed the chapter last night on the Wolfpack. You know, just a lot of things to be happy about when you watch the tape. I thought our kids played really hard. You know, two things we talked about going to that game is play with great effort. You know, we had to fly around and make plays, and we did that. We played with great effort. I thought we you know, played tough. And those are two things on the back wall there that we talk about all the time. But those are two ingredients I thought we needed going into that game, and I think we got that for sure. Sometimes it hurt us a little bit on defense. We were too aggressive a couple times when we got to play a little bit smarter. But our guys were out there flying around trying to make plays and trying to, you know, get a W, and that's what you love, you know. So we'll have to taper that down a little bit, be smart, because we'll see, I'm sure, some trick plays and some things, some toss passes and everything else that you can kind of throw at us just to see if they can trick us into the aggressiveness that we played with defensively. Again, same thing offensively. I mean, we executed. And you know, the other thing you're happy about is just you know, the discipline we had. I mean, we had, you know, I think 7 penalties, 2 of them were kick out of bounds, so that was, you know, sometimes that happens, especially with you know, trying, you know, Junko out at the kicker spot, which I think he got great hang time. Wish he'd have drove a couple of those out of bounds, or out of the end zone. So we'll work on that this week. And but you know, the resilience our guys have showed. You know, like I said back in August, our football team is, you know, regardless of who's on the field, you know, next man up. Our guys, you know, have never wavered. It's not like, coach, how about this, or you know, like they just buy in. I mean, everything we ask them to do, whether it's clean your locker or go out there and get it done one way or another, find a way to get it done, they have done. So I think you know, perseverance that they've dealt with all year has been phenomenal, because you know, there are no excuses. Nobody's going to care. You guys don't care on a Saturday after a game. You don't care on Monday at a noon press conference, you know, why you lose or why you win. It's about getting the job done, and that's what our guys set out to do every week when we step on the field. And again, they've been just a pleasure to coach, and couldn't be more appreciative of just their attitude as we move forward. So Stanford, you know, Coach, you know, Wright is, you know, heck of a football coach. Been around a long time, coached a lot of football. I think he's taken over play calling duties. You know, Nate Bynum, I think is their offense coordinator. I'm sure he runs the day-to-day operations and gets them in stuff they like. But heck of a Pitt man, great Pitt man. So we'll go out and visit with Nate. Hopefully pregame we'll get a chance to say hello to him. But just an outstanding coach. Obviously he works with the tight ends as well and coordinates that offense. And then Bobby April is the defense coordinator. Again, you know, they're pro style on offense, probably more pro style than we've seen, probably a little bit more like a Central Michigan type football team. You know, not as many personnels and big people in the game, but I'm sure they'll take a good peek at that game and see what they can expose us with. And probably, you know, a combination of maybe some Boston College stuff that you see, you know, kind of that Bill O'Brien, you know, Frank Wright offense. So you see a lot of that. You know, they got talented tight ends, they got fast receivers, they got a Farrell kid that's a 10-3, 100-meter guy. You know, Carl Branson is their quarterback. They played 2 this year as well with injury. So, you know, talented football team. And then defensively, you know, they're 4 down, 3 down, probably a good mixture of both. So we'll see a little bit of both, dropping off ends and trying to confuse you with different stuff. So we'll have to be on our, you know, on our stuff when we head out to California. So, questions?
The Night Stalkers package that you put in, how long have you sort of been working on that? Had that in your back pocket, and
Since Monday. Since Monday, it was just a matter of saying, okay, you know, on third down. I mean, it was like Monday. You know, we game plan on Mondays and Tuesdays, but it was a thought on Monday, and then game plan Tuesday night for third down is what we do. And again, it's always just a matter of trying to find out, you know, how do we get our best personnel on the field. It's third down, it's money down, and we got to win that down. It doesn't matter what happens on first down, second down, but when you get to third down and fourth down, like, how are we going to manage? And then you got different guys doing different jobs. That's the problem. And so they got to get it executed. They got to get on the right pass. If you are blitzing and all your 4-man pressures, how are you going to navigate those things? But it was really Monday and Tuesday. Like, who are they? And then what are we going to do if we get to, you know, like, to a 2-minute situation? We get into victory defense. I mean, there's all these. It just was a lot more to prepare for our guys. They did it, like I said, they did a great job, but didn't, you know, they didn't waver and go, coach, why are we doing that? We don't have enough linebackers on the field. You know, it's just, you know, so it was. But again, it's using our base package and just teaching guys new jobs, okay? And that's kind of what we did. It's not like we changed, all the different things that we do in that package. It's the same package, just teaching guys different jobs.
You talk about guys doing different jobs. Cam Lindsey, first career start, I think he played both outside linebacker spots. He was in that third down package. How did he handle kind of all the things you threw at him?
He did well. I mean, for his first start, I think he did a heck of a job. He's only going to get better from all the reps he got in that game. I mean, it's not going to be like now when he goes in, whatever situation is, whether it's as a starter or is it, backing somebody up. I mean, you got more confidence in him. He's watched the tape yesterday. He knows the things he made mistakes at. He knows he's got to be detailed. As we talked in here last night, it's every play. Every play could cost you the game, depending on who you're playing. And that effort yesterday might not be good enough this week. So we got to continue to get better. There's a lot of things we can clean up from Saturday, and Cam's definitely got a lot of things to clean up on his part.
We talked about this a bit post game, but talking with when we were talking with Mason, even after you guys scored 53 points, the thing he seemed most focused on was just plays left out there, things he wanted to improve on. Just after watching some tape, did you notice anything? Just what do you feel like you guys could maybe even do better on offense?
Yeah, there's a lot of things we can do better. Just like depending on the coverage and taking your checkdowns. I mean, late in the game, he took his checkdowns. Whether it's throwing to Joel's Goff that gains a first down on whatever it was, 2nd and 11, gets a first down. But just not trying to be the hero. I mean, he tried to be a hero, a lot the week before, and try to make those plays down the field. And there was a couple times where he tried to do that a little bit, way less. But there's times where he's like it's great to throw a check down and you can get 11 yards on. Let him run with it. You don't have to throw a 50-yard pass. You can throw a 3-yard pass and get 50. So I think that's just something that's going to be a week-to-week growth out of him, overall. And then based on the defense you're seeing and the pressure you're under, I think that all matters.
You guys are now leading the ACC in red zone efficiency, and in particular with Mason behind center these last 4 games. How would you evaluate or assess just how he's looked once you guys get in the red zone decision making, things of that nature?
You never get to the red zone if he doesn't look good prior to that, right? So I mean, you better be good to get to the red zone. So his efficiency, in the freewheeling zone, middle of the field, whatever you want to call it, and then working down into the red zone, got to be efficient. So I think it's the same. It's he's playing efficient football for the most part. As long as we, I talk about those penalties. I mean, the difference between our offense Saturday and our offense up in New York a week ago is just like being behind the sticks, man. It's hard to call plays and it's hard to execute when people got their ears pinned back and they can blitz you because it's 2nd down at 15 or 3rd down at 18. I mean, you get in those situations, good luck to you. Boston couldn't even navigate that.
Obviously, Mason's been a big story this year, but we've also gotten a lot of contributions from Lucy and Trey, and even Sean Lee and Josh Carrier. Do you remember ever having so many true freshmen making such a big impact?
You know what? That many, maybe not. I have to look back. You guys can maybe check the stats on that, but we had Jordan Whitehead as our honorary captain, and I remember he made a pretty major impact as a true freshman. It was great to have him back in town on Friday and Saturday. So it's hard to say, but it's a great recruiting class. I think we got another great one coming in this year as well. But guys getting opportunities and making plays, so that's we're blessed to have those young guys playing for us.
Pat, what
What's
were
that say about
the go ahead.
Go ahead, finish.
What does that say about your staff's ability to identify and scout talent? Like Mason didn't get many other Power 4 offers,
Yeah.
many.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, I think it was on June 5th, and we were in the middle of recruiting weekends in the summer, and there was an article came out in The Athletic. I'm sure you guys saw it. It was June 5th, because I just had some recruits in this week, and I was talking about it in my office on Sunday. That reminded me, just like, they ranked us as the #1 team in the country of developing talent, okay? Is it development, is it recruitment? It's a combination of both. I think there's an article came out in 22 or 23. They also talked about how they re-ranked our 2019 class. It was ranked 54th in the country, with rivals and all that stuff, Chris. And then, they re-ranked it and said it's the #9, class in the country. So, how's that happen? I think it's recruiting evaluation. I think it's development and getting the best out of our kids. And I think that's what football is all about. That's what we do as coaches, our job is to take the players we get and make them better players and make them, productive on the field. So far it's been good, but, we got November 1st, we got another one ready to go. So find out.
Pat, what went into the decision to keeping Dez on the field as long as you guys did, especially when you were up as long as you up as high as you
You know,
were.
you're never up as far as you want, I can tell you that. You know, it's fourth quarter, I'm still, you know, on edge on the sideline. So, you know, Des wants to play. I mean, he was feeling good and wants to play, and Des will be fine. Des wants to play the game. I mean, Des don't like being on the sideline. Des wasn't happy the week before. Taking 23 snaps, he was upset. But we want to get him on the field, but we also want to keep him healthy. It's a fine line, but we're trying to win football games.
On the flip end, Joel's only was in single digit snap count, only 2 touches. Just why was he sort of the odd man out in that game?
You know, just, you know, Bootsy's been playing well. I mean, we got, like I said, all 3 of those tailbacks, you know, are good. And, you know, when you kind of go with that hot hand, and, you know, Bootsy's playing well, you keep him in there, and, you know, it's nothing that Joel's didn't do. It's just kind of what Bootsy did, I guess. So, you know, Joel's is a great player as well. Like I said, you know, just talked about him, you know, catching a big conversion for a first down in a, you know, in the fourth quarter. So we got a lot of faith in all 3 of those guys. And I, you know, I tell you what, we got another kid that, you know, has got 4 games. Justin Cook is another kid that I think is a tremendous player. And I don't talk much about him, but you know, in the next few weeks, you may see Cook on the field as well.
Now, what do you like about him? Cook? What stood out about him?
You know, he's a receiver, transferred in as a receiver, and we transferred him to running back position in spring ball, and you know, he gives our guys headaches on defense. Like, he was, you know, Hollywood last week, and he gives us, I mean, he gives us chest pains on defense. He makes plays. He makes our defense work every week. I just think I think he's a special back too, and we'd like to redshirt him. That was our intention, just because I think the kid can play for us and be an impact player for us too.
Could I noticed Saquon Smith's not on the availability report last week. Could he play for you this year too?
He could. I mean, if we wanted to get 4 games out of him, you know, he started, I think, you know, either a week and a half ago, started to, you know, get into scout team and going, and he did a nice job for us last week. So he had to be, you know, he's available. So he's not on the injury report. I'm glad you mentioned that. So he's, you know, our training staff did a great job getting him back and ready to go, and we'll just see how he goes here. You know, he's missed a lot of spring ball. I mean, you know, obviously wasn't here in the spring, so he, you know, and hadn't done anything in fall camp. So he's got a long way to go as far as getting in on offense. But who knows if he can help you on special teams for sure.
CJ Lee made his first appearance the other day. Obviously, didn't get probably as many catches as he would have wanted, but
Just wish he had 1.
Yeah.
You know, just 1. That's all we needed.
What was it like to see him back on the field, especially with all he's been through with his injury?
It was good. I mean, like I said, we're trying to get 4 games out of him as well, and you know, I think we can use him in the next, you know, 4 games that we have, and the next one being the most important one of getting more reps. But you know, I think, you know, you don't play for a long time. You're on scout, you know, team. Scout team is not like being on the first team, and you know, we know he's a proven football player for us. He started for us last year, and you know, we got a lot of faith in Mr. Lee.
Pat, on the first day of fall camp, Kate was telling us one of the big things you need are chunk plays from guys not named Des Reed. Is it too simple to say that Mason's just finding guys what's leading to the chunk plays we're seeing?
Mason's finding them, and they're making plays when they get an opportunity. I mean, that play to, you know, Blue is a big one. You know, you gotta love those gigantic, those are real explosive plays. But, you know, man, I thought Kenny Johnson played lights out. I mean, that guy, he was unstoppable when he was in there. That was great to see. You know, I mentioned him you know, compared to where he was at North Carolina last year, compared to where he is now, like just the development that, you know, JJ has done in that receiver room, and Coach Bell, as far as just the little things that he's doing, he's special, and we got to get him to continue to play at that high level.
Cross-country travel is more of a regularity these days, just as a result of conference realignment. I think you guys are heading to Stanford a day earlier than you would a normal away game. Because how do you let this long travel just not disrupt your week of practice as much as you can?
Well, you know, the week of practice is going to be the same. You know, it's the same Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is exactly the same, except we're leaving a little early. So, you know, we just, instead of them hanging back at the bridge on the Forbes or their apartments, we're just going to spend, you know, 5 hours on an airplane together and get their iPads all downloaded with videotapes so they can do their homework on the plane. You know, so you know, it shouldn't be. It's like going to Syracuse. It's like going to Tallahassee. It's a road trip, and I think the more you make of it, the more, you know, it becomes an issue. I don't think it's an issue. It's a little bit of a time change. We go out and play. I think, you know, the best thing is it's an early game for us. You know, you know, it would be a major deal if we were playing 7:30 at night. You know, Pacific time, getting off the field at, you know, 2:30 in the morning, playing in the fourth quarter. I think that's a tough one. this one is, very, very, reasonable, I think.
Well,
Have you like reached out to anyone, like, any friends in the ACC, other coaches, say, hey, what was your experience with the?
Yeah,
trials?
I haven't, but Chris Lasala, he's my ops guy, my main man. He does all that. He takes care of he knows what we want. We call a lot of people every week. Doesn't matter if you're traveling to Syracuse to find out is the press box any different, that little glass house they have up there at the Dome, or you're going to Tallahassee. How's the locker room? How's this? How's that? We're always doing our homework, just like a coach. I mean, we're trying to find out what they're doing on offense and defense, and we're always doing our intel on what's happening operationally, and what are the things that we need to get done when we're out there.
How do you keep this team from looking ahead at you got 3 ranked opponents to finish the year, the bye week coming up? How do you keep them from looking
I
at?
think the only thing they may be looking forward to is maybe the open week. Okay, I'm looking forward to an open week too. But how do you keep it? That's my job. Make sure they don't lose focus. That we're locked in. Again, just trying to win one more game. I mean, it's a 1-game season right now. Cause, the rest of the season doesn't matter if you don't take care of business. Week in and week out, it doesn't matter. So our focus is to win one more game and go 1-0 this week, which has been our mantra since I've gotten here. So we just take care of Stanford, do what we got to do to try to go out there and play against a physical, well-coached football team. And Stanford is really good. I mean, they beat Florida State out there. They play good football. I mean, it's a 7-7 game at halftime, I believe, last week against Miami. Against Miami, a really talented Miami team. So they got a really good football team. So we got to go out and play our best and get our tails beat in.
Will Caleb still be taking those kickoffs going forward, or do you anticipate Sam Carpenter sort of going in as well as like a mix?
We'll look at it. I mean, I think both of them are really good. I mean, we rested Sam's leg last week. Just we felt like I think midway through this year he could play. He could have kicked off on Saturday, so he wasn't out. He wasn't benched. It was just let's rest him a little bit, and so just resting the leg. I think you kick that kickoff is an explosive play. And when you're just, you're practicing it on a Tuesday and get some on a Thursday, not too many of them, you can outkick your leg. So just keeping him fresh. And we knew Junko could do it. So was it what we wanted? No, it wasn't as good as we needed to. So we haven't been great, kicking the ball where we wanted. So it's been different. I mean, I think Sam was really good at the beginning of the year, kicking touchbacks, and then all of a sudden, we just felt like his leg was tired. So we felt like let's give him a week off. We just keep. Last Tuesday, I guess going to the Syracuse game, he didn't kick on a Tuesday. That's our kickoff day. We work kickoff on Tuesdays. He didn't kick, and then we kind of, we didn't help him any by doing that. So we're just trying to rest him a little bit.
Is there a reason you don't use Trey on the kickoff?
Not really. I've never seen him kick off. We're just focusing him on field goals right now. I mean, I'm sure he'll be able to do it later on or give him more, but no real reason except he's a freshman and. Let's just give him, the most important job is to put it through the uprights.
Last week there was an NCAA announcement, I don't think we asked you about it, a decision to allow coaches and student athletes to gamble on pro sports. Do you have any insight on why that would be something that was needed? Or
they don't ask the coaches. I think it's absolutely one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen. First of all, it's a habit. It's no different than smoking, drinking, doing drugs. It's a bad habit, and I don't think anybody in here encourage you guys to go out drinking and get smashed on a Friday night or Saturday night, or at a ball game in Acrisure Stadium, and it's a disease. I mean, you saw the same day that comes out, there's a disease in the NBA with what's going on there, and it doesn't matter how much money you make as a coach, you're still gambling. Like that, it's not to make money. It's because your addiction to it. I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I can. And I'm not speaking for anybody, but I just think it's an addiction. And I think if you want to go to the casino down the road and hang out there and throw your money away, I think you're going to continue to win. I mean, gambling's gambling. I'm not a gambler. I just don't understand it. I'm not addicted to anything. I just don't think it's a great thing to teach our young people how to do. And to say now, it's hard enough in the compliance office. Of trying to get your guys not to gamble. You can gamble on a boxing match, you can gamble, on horse races because it's not an NCAA sport, but who's gambling on the horse races really? I mean, unless you go to the horse track, and you can go to the casino and play, craps or whatever you want to play. But now, it's a thing on your phone, and you can pick it up and you can get on an app, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, and once you do it once and you win, you want to go do it again. It becomes an addiction. I just think it's not good, and you know, and it's the same thing with these availability reports. I mean, what are we doing? We're encouraging gambling and people to say, oh, he's out. Let me put some more money down there. See if I can, you know, get it done and win. So, good question. I you know, it's a bad deal. You know, and it all comes down to they probably don't want to have to take care of all the business that goes with trying to monitor it. But like, you know, push the wrong button on your phone and see what happens. You know, go, oh, I thought that I did it, but I thought it was an NFL game. I pushed the wrong button, and just, you know, put a bet on a college football game. I just think it's not good, and I'm not going to change my tune. Tomorrow I'll talk about, because I haven't had a chance to really address our team. I'll talk about a team meeting. One of the first things I'll talk about is, you know, I guess November 1st they can do that, but like, you know, stay away. Nothing changes in our room. You guys shouldn't be doing any of that. Save your money, put it in the bank. You know, that's my feelings.
Well, those availability reports were supposed to insulate the players, right? Keep them away from the gambling element, because you're putting that information out. Doesn't it seem to run counter to that, to then say, okay, but you can gamble? Isn't that sort of moving the student athletes closer?
Like
to
I
the
said, the decision makers, I don't get it. So let's talk about Stanford. I gave you my feelings on that, Chris. I mean, it's like it's bad, and I don't like it, and I'm old school too. So it's just because I'm real old.
Anything, Mono?
Anything else? Any football? We got to end with a football question.
Okay.
Because on Thursday, there's no availability on Thursday because we're out of here.
Since I'm sitting near his old seat, do you anticipate any of your defensive players being tapped for Saturday?
I sure hope so. We'll see. You know, it's Monday, and we still got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I hope so for sure. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that question. It's a football question, not an injury question.